Oh snap. Is there something with this? Alright friends, we are here to pack up our stuff and go check out a 1976 Celica GT. Now, whenever you're coming to a party, you got to bring the right tools. This is my to-go toolbox. You can see it's a little bit of a mess, but you need to make sure in these old cars that you're bringing a breaker bar at the very least. This is a nice small one, a 1/2 inch and hopefully a 3/4 inch drive. You need probably both metric and imperial sockets. It's best not to take chances that someone hasn't replaced a bolt somewhere in there. I'm also bringing a little bit of oil in case I need to spray some in the cylinders. And I've got jack stands, and I've even got backup ramps here in case it's easier to get the ramps under than the jack stands. And of course, I'm bringing a big ass jack. So another really important thing to bring, if you're gonna go check out a car, make a list of all the things that you want to talk about when you're looking at the car. You will forget. That is just part of life. When you're underneath the car, you're hot, you're sweaty, you're covered in dirt. You're not going to be thinking, oh man, should I check the wheels and the bearings and see if they've got too much play in them? You know, it's just not going to be on your mind. You're going to be focused and you're going to miss stuff. So bring some kind of checklist, and also make sure that if you don't know enough about the title, that you write down the steps that someone would have to take to get a title for the vehicle. In this case, the owner's dad, we think, was registered on the title. I'm not going to find out until I get there and take a look at the actual title. So when when he goes to sell me that car, he can't sign that title over to me unless he's got it in his name. So make sure you look up for your state, we're in Arizona, what the details are to transfer that title to his name so that he can transfer it to your name. And then finally, I did bring the Haynes model, the Haynes repair manual for this car. If you can get a hold of one for your car, definitely buy it. It has all kinds of useful stuff. This is a 1976 Toyota Celica GT, so that's within our range here. It has all the information on the engine, and we're going to use this just to make sure things like bolt sizes match, so no one's replaced bolts with weird ones. And we're going to make sure that we can follow the wiring diagram so that we can find out if any of the wires have been burned or if there's a short in the system. The good thing about these older models is that the wiring is very simple, so we can follow the wiring diagram and just make sure that there's nothing damaged inside the engine, because that could mean that it's sitting there because of an electrical issue, and electrical issues are the worst. Apart from that, I think we're ready to go. I've got a bunch of gloves. We're going to need them. It's also a pandemic, so I've got a mask, got a camera, I've got water because we're in the desert and it's going to get hot and unpleasant. And I got a bunch of equipment in the back. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it. Oh, and there it is. Nice. All right. I think it's smaller in person. I'm going to switch to voiceover here so that you get the dulcet tones of my speaking voice instead of the sound of wind blowing across my camera and me talking to the owners. So I'm going to check the body, see if we've got anything going on up here. Yep. Oh, it's still metal. Make sure there's no snakes. This is a very important part of the check, is making sure you're not going to get eaten by a snake. Got a little bit of rust under here. That's not too bad though.
you can't be afraid to get down on the ground and do a little bit of crawling when you're inspecting a car like this. We're going to look for holes where rust has gone through the metal or for major damage from rocks or accidents. Remember that there just isn't ever going to be a warranty on a car that you find in the desert. Everything wrong with the car will come out of your bank account, and usually out of your own blood, sweat, and tears. So for example, if you find something weird underneath, just reach over and punch it, hit it with your hand, get something metal to slap it with. Just make sure that everything under here you're comfortable with, because you will have to deal with it at some point. Now, in a normal car, you'd probably expect to have what kids these days call an interior. But this car has been stripped down pretty much to the bone, and the only real interior parts are the old cracked dashboard and dials, the pedals, steering wheel, and the shifter. So where did all that stuff go? Well, it ends up in the trunk. I don't know what it is about old cars, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to find the trunk filled with junk that came off the car to start with. So we got interior trim, an air cleaner, I don't know. Let's just go punch some door panels, and we'll come back to this later. You want it to sound like metal the whole way around the car.
That door opens. Man, honestly, thank goodness for the Arizona desert, because this is in Florida. It would have rotted through. Oh, yeah. Like, there'd be nothing left.
All right, let's stop messing around, open this guy up, take a quick peek. So these old Celicas are running with a 20R Toyota engine, which they share with the Toyota pickup. And I really hate to use the term bulletproof, so I won't, but this thing will basically run until we're all blown to hell by a meteor strike. Interior looks pretty good. There's a little bit of leak over there by the brake master cylinder. And funny story, I don't know if you can see here, but there aren't actually hinges in the back where you would normally expect to open up a hood. And the funny thing about these cars, these classic cars, a lot of these older machines have hinges in the front. So these are the actual little bolts the hood would sit on, but it would normally open up in the other direction. So we're going to get the hood off entirely, and we're just going to take a better look. And if you remember that checklist we had, it's about time to break it out. All right, well, I would love to show you all of my awesome engine inspection skills, and especially the part where I got the crankshaft bolt size wrong like 7 times in a row. That was cool. But there's a lot of people's faces in that, and they didn't sign up to be on the internet, I don't want to include them in this. So we're going to skip right to the point where I get the crankshaft to finally turn over, and then the interior where I push some pedals.
Mechanic, my grandfather would have had all these labeled perfectly. Oh, it turns. Oh, it turns. I'll be dipped. All right. Well, that's progress. No oil, but it does turn. All right, so let's take a quick gander down here. See what's going on with the pedals. Clutch is engaged. Wow. That clutch engages. All right, brakes. Now, we got basically every pedal's doing something. Brakes, come on. Okay, I'm surprised, but all your pedals are doing their thing. This guy honestly looks pretty intact. That's kind of surprising. Okay, let's see if I can shift it into gear. Next question, can I roll the gears in neutral? All right, with the clutch down. Yep. Oh. Okay. Seems like it's doing its thing. It's reversed the whole way to the right. Okay, right and down. Yep. All right. That's pretty good.
Now, the shrewd of you might have recognized that this is a 5-speed, and that is really the correct number of gears. Most of the muscle cars in this era and before were automatics in the United States, and that's just super depressing. There's nothing less interesting to me than a 3-speed automatic. All right, we're back at home base, and we have one last piece of research before we make a decision. I ran a vehicle history report, and it mostly checks out, but we do have a rebuilt title. So sometime before 98, this was written off, and then it was restored at some point. And the rest of the title information is also pretty old. So we just need to be aware going into this, we might need to do a lot of work to this car. Now, we kind of already knew that after seeing it, but it's important to keep your eyes open. Okay, so we've looked at the car in person, and we've checked out its vehicle history report, and now it's really time for us to consider our options. You know, this is going to be different for every single person and every single car. This particular car has a bit of a backstory, just like most cars that are 40 years old. It's been in the current owner's family for a while now, and it was supposed to be a project for a father and a son to finish, and without going into details, I'll just say that there was a pretty tragic ending to that plan, and there's just no way for the son to finish this car on his own. It really is going to take a lot of work and probably a fair amount of money to get it restored from where it sits right now. I've been speaking with the current owner and his aunt for a couple weeks now. We're trying to work out some last-minute title issues, and for a brief minute, I thought the deal was going to fall through, and I had to scramble and find a car in California that I was going to move to Arizona. But in the end, we did manage to get everything sorted out, and I am actually headed out to pay them right now. I'm just really excited to have a chance to fix up this car and get it running again. Hopefully, after we get it all safe to drive and registered with a classic license plate, they can come out and take her out for a drive and really experience what the car was meant to be. Cars like this have a heritage. It's both mechanical, from Toyota's perspective, and also emotional from all the people who've owned them and passed them on through the years, whether they loved the car, whether they hated the car. There's just so many events and experiences wrapped up in these things. We want to make sure that we keep that history alive for future generations. It would be, honestly, just the worst if a car like this was lost to the desert. On the other hand, this could just be the worst ever idea that I've ever had. There's really only one way to find out. So we bought the car. Of course we bought the car. I'm not going to make a video this long if I didn't buy the car. She's sitting safely in the garage downstairs, and tomorrow I'm going to start working on cleaning her up. That's going to be a whole other video, though. Now, I'm pretty new to YouTube, but I believe this is the part where I'm supposed to say, if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're interested in seeing a whole lot of cleaning, go ahead and subscribe, because that's coming up next. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Josh and Nate and Chris over at Catalina Towing. They were awesome. They helped me get the car back safely. I cannot thank them enough for all the hard work there. They hooked me up with a whole bunch of sweet towing action. And now I've got a car that I have to vacuum for hours. Sweet.